Bolivia is a small, geographically diverse nation in South America containing various ethnic groups and cultures. It has had 17 constitutions since gaining its independence in 1825 and has been continuously switching on and off between dictatorships and a free elected government, making the government unstable and inexperienced. Economically, Bolivia relies on its wealth of natural resources and exports materials to neighboring countries and the U.S. Their social structure and individual wealth is based on ethnicity, which creates a divide between a few extremely rich citizens and many very impoverished citizens. This divide allows for a lot of corruption and exploitation of the underprivileged class. Within the past 10 years, there has been a rapid increase in human trafficking cases in Bolivia. Human trafficking is the illegal movement of individuals, usually for labor or sexual exploitation. Many cultural, geographic, and socioeconomic factors make Bolivians easy targets for traffickers, which, in addition to an unstable government, has led to the drastic increase in human trafficking in Bolivia. Human trafficking is illegally moving people, usually for sexual exploitation or forced labor. Every year, thousands of people globally become victims of trafficking. Nearly every country is involved in human trafficking in some way, whether it's a country of origin, transit, or destination. Victims suffer extensive physical and mental abuse, including threats to them and their families. Many organizations are devoted to preventing this crime and spreading awareness, but it is still a major problem and violation of human rights. The strategic location of Bolivia makes it an ideal country to import and export human trafficking victims, leading to the recent spike. Bolivia has a geographically prime location for imports and exports, being right in the middle of Peru, Brazil, Paraguay, Argentina, and Chile. Child trafficking victims usually stay within the country borders or when brought to nearby nations. However, many victims of forced labor go to Europe, Brazil, and Mexico to work in agriculture. There they produce resources that these countries need for their economy, but for which they do not have enough workers, such as coffee, soybeans, corn, and cotton. Bolivia's location between many nations that export goods globally is an important factor in the recent increase of human trafficking. The recently founded government, along with its corruption and other internal issues, has contributed to the growth of human trafficking. Very few cases are even reported because when they are often either looked or little action is taken. Most cases move at such a slow pace that by the time the investigation begins, the trafficker and the victim have had months to get out of the country. In the year 2012 alone, 456 cases of human trafficking were reported, yet only 5 traffickers were convicted in court. Of all these cases, 30% of them came from the city La Paz, which is one of the largest Bolivian cities and where the government is located, but those did not advance and no protection has been enforced in that city since. Based on this fact, the Bolivian government lacks proper law enforcement and prosecution to handle these crimes. Along with this, their laws do not comply with minimum elimination of trafficking standards by the U.S. Department of State. Another internal issue in the judicial system is the police corruption. Police often accept bribes and turn a blind eye to trafficking, while some even secretly negotiate and work with the criminal groups that organize human trafficking. These criminal groups are very wealthy, powerful organizations that have undercover members everywhere, making them difficult to uncover and track. Police who are not working with criminal organizations are afraid of them and choose to let the case go rather than challenge them. However, due to this recent increase in trafficking, the government has been making an effort to eliminate the crime. There are new government funds for victims, a new trafficking law that raises jail time for criminals, and strengthened victim protection. Child trafficking cases are being especially prioritized and being handled quicker. Another recent change is that at least one prosecutor in each of Bolivia's 9 departments must handle human trafficking cases along with their normal cases, allowing action to be taken more quickly. These several inconsistencies within the government and judicial system are a major cause for the rise in human trafficking despite their efforts to prevent it. Due to Bolivia's gender inequality and lack of education and resources for citizens, it is easier for traffickers to target young women. Bolivian children aged 6 to 13 are supposed to attend a free public school, but most drop out before then to help provide for their family. These uneducated, naive children are the ones traffickers can easily entice by promising them a better life. Many of the people traffickers target are desperate for money and have large families whom they feel a responsibility to support. Young girls especially feel poorly treated due to Bolivia's limited economic opportunities and lower wages for women. They lack opportunities, familial support, and social support, leading them to volunteer to become trafficked. Western movies showing women having careers and being powerful also push girls to want to leave Bolivia and find a better lifestyle. They have a strong desire to escape from the gender inequality they face and become as powerful and successful as the women these girls see in the media. Some traffickers are honest about the exploitation victims will be facing, while most promise well-paying jobs in restaurants, hotels, or shops. Another way traffickers can attract victims is by hiring poor villagers to help convince their friends and people around them to take the job offer. It has been researched and shown that 46% of victims knew their recruiters beforehand and thought they were a trustworthy source. By hiring these people to promote trafficking, the information is coming from a deceptively reliable person, and villagers are more likely to be persuaded. Traffickers have all these advantages and strategies when recruiting victims, causing the increase of human trafficking. The lenient laws of U.S. visa programs and trafficking industry allow for an increased demand for people in the U.S., which creates more human trafficking within Bolivia. No government openly encourages trafficking, but those in need of inexpensive labor often create work visas, such as the United States. This grants room for abuse and human trafficking since legal employment is only temporary and hardly monitored. The H-2A guest worker visa program temporarily hires non-immigrant workers for agricultural labor, and the H-2B guest worker visa program temporarily hires non-immigrant workers for non-agricultural labor. Although the United States has fairly secure border control and immigration laws, the visa program allows for exploitation. Most victims are under the impression they will be going to the U.S. to work under these legal visa programs, but are later forced into human trafficking. These programs are not closely monitored, making the U.S. a prime country to export to, using the guest worker programs as a loophole to get in. Various issues coming from within Bolivia's government and culture, as well as other countries' demand for exploitation, has led to a sharp increase of human trafficking. The severity of this problem has been recognized, and the government is making some improvements. Despite their efforts, other factors need to be taken into consideration when trying to fix this issue. These matters are vital to understand in order to globally decrease and prevent human trafficking in the future.